Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this session, we would like to tell you about sentence structure in English. But before that, we would like to introduce ourselves. We are from Group 6, Class 19DB, consists of Cintya Septanti, Farah Shiba Fadhilah, and Rizki Prima Julianti. We already break our materials into 4 parts. They are the definitions of syntax, types of sentences, structure of sentences, and the 3 diagrams. Part 1. The definitions of syntax.
Before we start to explain more about syntax, the first thing we need to know is the definition of syntax. What is syntax? Why is it called syntax? According to Meg Robbie, a linguistic lecturer at Simon Fraser's University, syntax is the study of sentence formation. It is a system of categories and rules that allow words to form sentences. The word syntax itself comes from the ancient Greek word syntaxis, which means arrangement or setting out together.
Next, we would like to tell you how the words are linked. There are some devices used to linking the words. First is word order. This device is commonly used in English. It is the word order that indicates who frightens whom and gives information that the spider is large. For example, as stated on the graphic is, the large spider frightened Aunt Matilda. Second is inflection. Inflections or word endings can indicate the relationship between words. This device rarely used in English. And the last is function words. The use of words like of, by, and that. They indicate relationship between parts of sentences.
Next, we would like to differentiate between clause, phrase, and sentence. Let's start with clause and phrase. Sentences are made up of clauses and phrases. All sentences must have at least one independent clause. First, clause. Clause is a group of words which has a subject and at least one verb. For example, the lecture finished at 3 p.m. There are 2 kinds of clause, independent clause and dependent clause. An independent clause expresses a complete thought and can stand on its own as a sentence. For example, learning a new language is often frustrating. A dependent clause does not express a complete thought and needs to be joined to an independent clause to become a sentence. It usually begins with a word such as although, while, because, who, which, if, etc. For example, although learning a new language is often frustrating. Second, there's a phrase. A phrase is a group of words which either does not have a subject or does not have a finite verb. For example, the relationship between predators. Last, sentence. Sentence has subject and predicate, formed by one or more clauses and also phrases.
Part 2. Types of sentences. Types of sentence structure are simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, and compound complex sentence.
1. Simple sentence. It must have only one independent clause. It could also form by a phrase, but it should have one subject and one main verb. You can see the examples on the graphics. The red and the underlined words are the main verbs. 2. Compound sentence. It is the upgrade version of simple sentence. A compound sentence has 2 or more independent clauses which are tied with conjunction. In compound sentence, each clause has equal or nearly equal importance. For the examples, you can see it on the graphics. The clauses in compound sentence can be joined in 3 ways. 1. Using coordinating conjunction, but, for, and, yet, so, and correlative conjunction, not only, but also. 2. Using semicolon. 3. Using semicolon and conjunctive adverb. Furthermore, however, therefore, in contrast, similarly, and many more. 3 is complex sentence. A complex sentence has one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. Unlike compound sentence, the clauses do not have equal importance. The independent clause has the most important idea, while the dependent clauses add more information. For the example on the graphics, the red and underlined clauses belongs to dependent clauses which need independent clause to make a better complex sentence. For or the last is compound complex sentence. It has multiple independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. These sentences will contain both coordinating conjunctions and subordinating conjunctions. For the example on the graphics, the blue clauses belong to independent clause, meanwhile the red clauses belong to dependent clause. Thus, the black colored words belong to conjunctions. Part 3. Structure of sentence.
At a glance, structure of the sentence are subject-verb, subject-verb-object, subject-verb-adjective, subject-verb-adverb, subject-verb-noun. Now, let's go to the discussion. For the subject and verbs, the example is they buy. They as the subject and buy as the verb. Now for the subject, verb, and object. For example, they buy books. They as the subject, buy as the verb, and books as the object. And now for the subject, verb, and adjective. The example is Lisa is pretty. Lisa as the subject, is as the verb, and pretty as the adjective. And now for the subject, verb, and adverb. The example is she dressed nicely. She as the subject, dressed as a verb, and nicely as the adverb. And last, subject, verb, and noun. For example, he is a policeman. He as the subject, is as the verb, and a policeman as a noun. Part 4. The 3 diagrams.
The 3 diagrams is the diagrams where we can easily break the sentence into smaller pieces and analyzing them. Let's begin from this simple sentence. The duck bit the burglar. Here's the 3 diagram from the sentence, the duck bit the burglar. Rewrite or replacement rule. Rewrite or replacement rule is a rule where the symbol to the left of an arrow is replaced by an expanded form written to the right of the arrow. For example, replace the symbol as by NP VP, replace the symbol VP by V and P, and replace the symbol NP by D and. Let's take a look to the graphic. Let's take an example from the sentence, the duck bit the burglar. If we apply the rewrite rules or replacement rule to this sentence, the result will be like this. The burglar bit the duck. Even though it seems irrational or somewhat unlikely, but this is a well-performed English sentence. Identifying constituents. As we have seen, every sentence can be broken down into successive layers of constituents. However, not all sentences can be analyzed with as little trouble as the duck bit the burglar. Let's try another sentence. The mouse ran up the clock. So we can break this sentence into pieces like the mouse ran and up the clock. Now, let's take a look to the 3 diagrams. This sentence has noun phrase and verb phrase. The noun phrase consists of determinant and noun. Meanwhile, the verb phrase has verb and preposition phrase. And after that, we can break the preposition phrase to preposition and noun phrase. As mentioned before, the noun phrase consists of determinant and noun. That's all from us. Thank you for watching and for your attention, and see you next time.